Hello. Welcome everybody to this episode of Trauma Rock Stars. I have somebody really cool I want to introduce you to. This is Jackie. She is an alcohol freedom and transformation coach, and she helps a lot of people get over that hump and past that journey because she's been through her own trauma and experiences. So, Jackie, welcome to Trauma Rock Stars. I'm so happy to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Tracy. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this for a
Oh,
couple months now.
right, me too.
So let's just go back to a little bit into the beginning. I know that you said you were a bartender for 12 years
I
too,
was, yeah.
along with all of your coaching, and you've been in an abusive relationship and things like that. So do you want to just go back a little bit to your journey and how you became Coach Jackie?
Yeah, so like you said, many years ago, I was a bartender. I did it for about 12 years, and COVID happened. And so
Yeah.
there were so many restrictions in the industry, and the owner of the restaurant that I was working at, he was dealing with a lot of stress and throwing it at us as a bartender, and I just pulled away from the industry. So I decided to venture into a new career, and I was following in the footsteps of what I thought was a good friend of mine. And I didn't realize how narcissistic and how abusive she could really be. And I was always a big drinker. I always drank every day.
Mm-hmm.
That I even recognized years ago was a problem, but I didn't really do anything to fix it, and I just forgot
Mm-hmm.
about it. And so as in 20 December of 2021, she was supposed to come back here and train me, this friend of mine, and she didn't. She was an hour away from me and never told me she was here. And I spiraled into depression because I wanted to change my whole life and I wanted to start a new career, and I trusted her. And it was I to cope with it, I just started drinking copious amounts of alcohol. I never really understood what depression was. And when I say that, it's because my two of my children, I have four, and my two middle ones both battled with depression in their high school years, middle school and high school. And I remember I used to say to them things like, "Oh, just change the channel. It's get out of it," because I never had been in that situation. And then I fell into depression, and I found out you can't just change the channel. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm tearing up when I think about it because I was so broken and I was so angry at this person, and I didn't know how to get out of it. And then what happened as a result of the depression and me just creating this whole spiral story in my head of how ridiculously stupid I am. Why could you think you could start a new career, and you trusted her, and all these things? I fell into anxiety too. And so,
Mm-hmm.
in order for me to just leave my house, I would drink 2 or 3 beers just to
Okay.
take the edge off, just to make me have some sort of. And if I would go to Target, let's say, to go shopping, I would take Ricola with me because the mint would calm me. So
Mm-hmm.
I would have Ricola stuffed in my pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a very outgoing individual. I was class flirt in high school. I love people. I'm a people person. And I
Yeah.
went into this cocoon that was so awful and dark. And the only way that I knew to cope was to buy more alcohol. And I was a beer drinker. And it got to the point that I was probably averaging 12 to 13, 14 beers a day.
And how long ago was this?
That was December of 21 is when I fell into the depression.
Right
All
in the midst of the pandemic.
Right. And all of 22, it's a blur because all I did was drink. And what happened was I'd start drinking earlier in the day because I really slept a lot. I remember sometimes I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'd come downstairs and I'd start drinking because I didn't know what else to do, because I was so like that, just all of what she did to me. I just felt this heaviness on me and I felt like a failure. And all I wanted to do was escape. And I remember I would think to myself, well, if I die in the middle of the night, at least I have life insurance for my kids. They're all grown. At that time, this would have been 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest would have been 18 years old. And I was like, well, at least I have that policy for them, because that's how deep and dark in a hole I was, that I honestly, I didn't see a light. All I saw was just keep drinking. This just keeps silencing that voice in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a drink and I would stop the voices. It would stop the shame. It would stop the way I would humiliate myself over and over and over again. I was on a hamster wheel.
How long did this go on?
January of 2023, I decided Tony Robbins was doing a free event and I thought I got to get on here. I
I
got to get
remember you
on here.
telling me about it.
And so I thought that's something I need to do because several months prior, in I believe it was July of 22, I went to a celebration of life for a gentleman who had passed away from his alcohol addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And not only had he passed away, but his best friend was found 2 months later with empty wine bottles and alcohol bottles all throughout his apartment. He drank himself to death as well. And I was at that celebration of life, and we were all drinking. It was a 1 o'clock celebration, and I had to drink because I was hungover. I wanted the beer to kind of get rid of the hangover feeling. Bite the hair of the dog that bit you. I became the expert at that, professional. And I remember sitting at that celebration of life, and 95% of what they said about this gentleman, they talked about the stupid things he did when he was drunk. They didn't talk about all the good things he did. They didn't talk about his time as a volunteer for the United Ways. He was chairman of their fundraising campaign one year and all the other things he did. And I remember sitting there thinking, is that what I'm doing to my kids? Is this the legacy I'm leaving for them? Jackie, you're so much more than this. It was very emotional for me. And I had reached out to a girlfriend who had stopped drinking, and we had voicemail tag back and forth, and I never spoke to her. So when Tony had his free event, I just thought, God, you got to try something. And I did. And it was the start of me slowly reconnecting with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a flip of a switch. When you're that broken and you're that just so, unfortunately, with most people with alcohol, it is so addictive. It is so hardwired into your brain that most of the times what they call spontaneous sobriety is not, it's very rare for it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because of the way that we've wired ourselves to believe we need it. So as I started on that journey, I came across a science-based methodology in March of 2023. And I really started to go, wait a minute, let me hear about this, how I wired my brain to believe that I needed it. And also all the things that I had been exposed to as a child. My dad was a drinker, not a heavy drinker, but I was around it because in at Christmas and Easter and all the holidays, we
Like
glass of
most
wine.
people.
So it's kind of like I started
Mm-hmm.
learning that in the way that the advertising makes it look glamorous and you need this. You drink after you play volleyball, you drink while you're golfing, you drink to have fun. You go to a bar, you're on a date, you need wine, you need Cavassier or whatever it might be. So I started to understand why I became so addicted to a substance they never told me it was addictive. So I dived really deep
Mm-hmm.
into this science-based methodology, and it was great because as I was learning, I noticed my drinking was going down. And that was the whole premise behind it. It was stop trying to stop drinking, just learn, because with
Mm-hmm.
knowledge and then the feelings and the emotion I wanted to have with my relationship with alcohol, as I was weaning myself down, my cat died. And at that time, I had 7 cats. And that was my patriarch, my Spencer, my sweet love. And I remember just like it was May 13th. It was the day before Mother's Day, and I drank 12 beers that day, just because I was so sad. It was okay because I was learning. And then by June 9th, 2023, I said, okay, let's try this. Go on an experiment. Let's stop drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how long you can go, and
Mm-hmm.
let's see how I feel. And I went in with the intention of just saying, okay, um, my goal road is to have 1 or 2 beers at a time, not this 12 a day type thing. And I'll be honest with you, since June 8th, 2023, I've had no desire to have alcohol. Doesn't mean that I can't have alcohol if I want to. Because without desire, temptation. So
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me. I don't want it in my life because the way that it was affecting me and the way I feel now, I don't want it back.
Do you remember how it made you feel?
Oh, the hangovers.
Yeah.
Up and shaming every morning. I'm not drinking today. You suck. What's wrong with you? Right.
Yeah.
And then 5 o'clock would roll around, 4 o'clock would roll. Next thing you know, I'm pulling that cabinet back there because that's where I kept it. And I just thought, no matter how much I would tell myself I'm not going to drink that day, I would. because the other voice would come in and say, come
Yeah.
on, you just need one. It's okay. You're fine. You've had a
Mm-hmm.
great day. It's okay. So
Right.
how powerful, there's both of those voices I would have. The one that would shame me in the morning loved me, and the one that was telling me to drink loved me. So what I had to learn to do was, which one do I talk to? Which one do I let be louder? Which one do I want in that arena to win?
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it, a boxing match. Which one's going to win? So as
Yeah.
the one at night would say, because one of the things I used to do, Tracy, I used to say to myself, I used to take the beer tabs off my cans of Michelob Ultra, so I would know how many beers I had. And I'd be at like beer 10, and I'd be taking that tab off, and I'd hear that little voice go, oh, one more's not going to hurt. And I'd go, it's right. I'll be fine, right? Well, as I started on this journey to change my relationship with alcohol, it was really cool because I'd take that beer tab off, like on beer 7, and hear that voice go, come on, one more is not going to hurt. And that other voice went, no, I don't need you to more. I'm okay. I appreciate you telling me I might need one more, but you know what? I think I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and just have the 7 today. And I'm going to,
Right.
and so because of everything I was learning,
Yeah.
I was able to, slowly wean back, and then boom, make that jump. And life has been,
It's like a switch.
well, well, I'll be honest. I during all of, I had this Tony, and I ended up getting a one-on-one coach through Tony Robbins. I was studying this science-based methodology. And then I added Mr. Matthew McConaughey into the picture. He had an event that he did called The Art of Living, based upon green lights. His green lights. One of the things I learned from Matthew McConaughey, there's a lot of great things. It was 9 weeks we would have Zoom calls with Mr. Matthew. I love him so much. And one of the
He's a
things
doll.
he is a doll. And this book was phenomenal. The way he talked about all these different road stops we did away on the road trip. One that was the most powerful that stood out to me. Well, two were. One, he said, write your eulogy.
Wait a minute. Was this when he was driving across the country in one of the camping? He was like, I heard he was driving across the country in an Airstream camper and just stopping at all these random places. Is that what he was talking about?
Well, he ended up this 9-week event that he did on Zoom, calling it the Art of Living road trip. So it might have been him with the idea because of his Airstream experience.
Okay.
But I don't think he was always set up in a studio. It was always the same place. But what I loved, like he said, write your own eulogy. And I'll tell you what, when you're just being absolutely miserable with your life because it's being controlled by the eulogy, was definitely very, for me, to what I was doing to myself.
That had to be profound.
Yeah, right. And then he talked about owners and renters decisions. And so he said you can have a renter's decision, and it's kind of like you leave the bedroom. It's kind of like you rent if you don't like it, you can just leave the apartment, right? You can break the lease. You can say I'm gone, whatever. So if you just rent or do a maybe on a, I'll try, he goes, well, then it's that you're rent, or you take the owner's decision, and with it, you own it. You slam the back door shut, you deadbolt it, you lock it, and then because you own your decision. And I remember whenever I was just a couple days, I knew it's going to be my day. I had set that as my intention, and this is what I'm going to do. And I remember I was just like, I'm triple deadbolting this door. I have to in this full throttle. This is no maybe, no, and it was for nothing, because and I knew I could, because I thought about when I gave birth. So I was making this decision because I was thinking, okay, I have to do nothing. And I had to remind myself, okay, you can do this. And I went back to my time of when I had my first child, and I had made the decision that I was going to do it all natural. And I thought, it'd be like my grandmother didn't have drugs, my mother did. I was born in the 60s, late 60s. So I knew when I went in to have that baby, I kept everybody else's noise out, and I just went with it. And I did it. I had 22 hours of labor, and I did it with no drugs. So I reminded myself before, like, when you make it, you own it, you can do it. So I kind of, at that point, really reconnected with that part of me that said, you know what, come on, you can do this.
Wow. I want you to talk about the science-based methodology, because I know you use that in your now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about, I just want to go back a minute and ask you, that girlfriend of yours do so much, that kind of caused you to, why, looking back now, why do you think that had such a profound impact on you?
A couple things. Like, so I was going to get into the life insurance business. I was going to go back into sales. Okay. And I've done sales in life and I'm not, but she announced it on social media. I didn't. I wasn't ready to it yet because I wasn't trained yet. I wasn't ready. It was my story. So what would happen then, as she's not coming back to train me, people kept saying, "How's your new business? How's it going?" And I'd lie.
Did you ever find out why?
Yeah, yeah. It's a very story.
Okay.
It had all do about it.
Okay.
It was just
Okay.
I kept going to user because I really wanted to get trained in the industry, and I no longer speak to her, but it why it just what it to me it just I felt like if I put it out, I'm starting this new career, and I did not know enough to be able to make presentations to people because I needed to watch her and train me because she didn't live here, she lived in Oregon.
So, but what she basically blew you off and I guess set you to fail right out of the gate. You know, it sounds like, which have been devastating, especially because you had your heart into this. But like, as we know, we can only control how we react to things. So much easier said than done with, but now that you know such a profound impact on you, was it just the utter betrayal?
I
It
think a
just
lot of
crushed
that.
you?
Yeah, a lot of that because when she would come to, I'd pick her up. I mean, I was always heard me a lot of
Yeah.
people negative about her, and I was always there to support her and hold her up when everybody else put her down.
Mhm.
And I had this vision and the hope of starting this whole different life
Yeah.
and getting out of the restaurant and not being
Mhm.
involved in that. And at this time, I was still drinking, and
Yeah.
so uh, she drank a lot more, and but I know because I don't know it. I was just so optimistic and then
Mhm.
crushed at the same
And
time.
crushed. Yeah.
And it's like, and the easy thing for me to do was to grab the alcohol.
That feeling had to have been horrible.
It
I
was
can't
awful.
even
It was
imagine
awful.
because well, you're where you,
Right.
thankfully, because it store opens. Um, so when you stopped, you did Tony Robbins, you did Matthew McConaughey. At what point were you like, all right, I've got this. Like, this is what I need doing.
Well, the biggest thing I'm going to say, it was one of those things that I wouldn't say that I said I got this. All I knew was Dean Graziosi, who's also a
Yeah.
business partner with Tony
Dean.
Robbins.
Yeah.
I was on one of his calls probably in April or May of 2023. And he said, you just got to make a 1 millimeter shift every day. And I mean, everything, you guys are like, because this is where I did all my healing. And
Yeah.
I thought, oh, I'm not, no, I'm out of the norm. I'm not going to be in an office because that's the thing that everybody does.
Yeah.
This is where I sat when I would do my events and do my studies or whatever it was. But I
Hmm.
remember, Dean said it's going to 1 millimeter shift every day. And I'm not
I
going to,
love that though.
I do
It's
one
that
millimeter.
simple.
But when you are as far down as I was in that deep, 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 deep hole, see a light up there, I didn't know how long it
Hmm.
would take. I really didn't know, is this really going to happen? All
Yeah.
I knew was listen. And I was like, listen, 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 Jackie. I would say, don't give up. You got this. Just keep trudging, keep going. What happens? And then all of a sudden, I started climbing that the 1 millimeter started me up to the first rung of the ladder, and then it just kept going.
Hmm.
And it was a lot of work, a lot of transformation had to happen, a lot of healing for myself had to happen, a lot of forgiveness for myself, forgiveness for
Hmm.
my things that I had gone through, and really to reconnect back with me. And that was it wasn't months and months and months. And so I remember probably 6 months alcohol free. I
Hmm.
have a empowering songs playlist on Spotify, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I over and over again that I knew what song was coming next because I
Yeah.
needed one of the things that I had learned, early, even in my first mentor, talks about how what's getting in your head. Is it really benefiting you or not benefiting you? So when I made this empowering songs playlist, it was for me to really start to empower myself again because
Hmm.
I needed to have those songs, that music, and I'm sitting there one and the song by Whitney Houston, "Greatest Love of All," on,
Hmm.
and I remember standing here in my kitchen and I just started crying because I went, oh, I finally love myself again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Finally love again, because when you drink as I was drinking, you don't love yourself because you're ashamed and you're less than, and all the negative things you absolutely think of. That's all you think about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So once I was pull the layers back, is what I say. Get rid of the break. It's what I did. I just wanted to take a break from it. I'm still on that break.
Yeah.
4 months later or something like that. I don't count days. I don't need to.
Right.
Um, but it's like the whole transformation is just something that I never envisioned 2.5 years ago, where I would be today talking to you
Yeah.
and being able to story and just say, yeah, I got my butterfly wings. I broke out of the cocoon. That's why on my
So,
website I have butterflies there, because I felt like
yeah.
I was trapped, and then I was able to just go there. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, so many people are gonna love the story. I mean, it sucks you had to go through it, but now you're here to help others. Talk about the science-based methodology.
Well, one of the things that I loved about the science-based methodology is like get the knowledge first. Knowledge is power, and
Yeah.
you can't unlearn what you've learned. So as I'm learning all of this, there's so much science backed basis of how your body is actually reacting to alcohol. So it's kind of all the nerdy sciencey stuff, but it's important to really understand. And I
Hmm.
I didn't get it. I knew that alcohol, they make you drunk, you might be hungover, but I didn't understand truly how the body was reacting to it and how you're chasing a dopamine hit. And as you're chasing that dopamine hit, then the dynorphin comes in. And what I say to that is, it's like a little Pac-Man that's going around trying to eat up the alcohol. That's why you would become tired, and it becomes a depressant. So you're learning about all of those things. But the coolest thing that I love is I'm certified in another thing called effective liminal psychology. And that's a big basis of this science-based methodology. Is our subconscious controls about 90 to 95% of what we do. And until it comes to the conscious awareness, your subconscious is going to drive you. And I'm going to use the word drive as an example. So think about if you've ever driven somewhere and you've gotten there and you don't even know how you got there. You got
Yeah.
there. Well,
It's like
why?
autopilot.
Exactly, because your subconscious knew how to get there because you've done it multiple times,
Hmm.
right? So as I learned about this, it was like, okay, so now I had a lot of curiosity. It said, be curious. So I am. I'm being curious. I'm being open-minded to this, because number one, I was not going to go to AA. It works for some people, but I wasn't going to ever label myself the alcoholic word, because number one, it's so disempowering. And number two, I was never going to go to rehab because I had 7 cats and I wasn't going to leave my cats.
Right.
But at the same time, I had seen people go to rehab and they both started drinking again, or however
Hmm.
many of them were. So as I'm learning about effective liminal psychology and how it worked, it was like once your thought comes into your awareness, then it's in the conscious zone of your brain. So now you start to rewire the spot between it, is called the liminal space. So in that liminal space is where all the magic happens. That's where you can start to rewire these beliefs that you have. So I started rewiring these thoughts and beliefs that I had about alcohol, because I brought it to my conscious awareness. My subconscious is still back there saying, well, no, really, you need, like, 5 o'clock, you should have koozie. But my conscious said no. Middle
Hmm.
of that space, I started to change, and I was able to start breaking down. I tell people it's like having a ginormous skyscraper. So I had to take that skyscraper and I had to break it down, and I had to not just break it down, but I had to get the foundation out. And then you have to remove everything. You got
Hmm.
to remove the rubble. But at the same time, a cool thing was, as I was breaking down these beliefs, I was building another skyscraper next to it. And as I built that foundation, I was able to keep adding layer, row upon row of to it. Now my
Hmm.
size, yeah. So that was the little bit about how the science-based methodology was able to change my life.
So you hear people say a couple different things about alcoholism. Some people, it's actually recognized now as a disease. And then other people like say that it's hereditary, things like that. What are your beliefs with that?
I believe every one of those is inaccurate.
Okay.
I do. I believe
I had a feeling you were going to say that. That's why
yeah.
I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, I think that's 100%. One, there is no genetic proof, and that has, there's no genetic. You have an alcohol gene, no alcohol gene in there in your body. Is it a disease? That's an easy way for somebody to say you are diseased. You have like, no, that I don't. There's any proof to that as well. Um,
So it's kind of like you don't have a disease, you have a drinking problem.
you have an addiction to a substance that is addictive that nobody told you was addictive.
Gotcha.
So what was the third one? I think you said something.
There were
Two. Yeah. So when people, in my opinion, like the word alcoholic, let's just talk about that. So the word alcoholic, when you say that word, you're blaming the person. Okay. If somebody is addicted to cocaine, do you call them a cocaineaholic?
right.
If someone's addicted to cigarettes or nicotine, do you call them a cigaretteaholic or a nicotineaholic?
Right.
Right. But if you're addicted to alcohol, you call them an alcoholic because you blame the person. See, the alcohol industry, in my humble opinion, wants to blame the person like, oh, you have a problem. It's your fault.
It's
No,
not us.
not
Yeah.
here.
Just like cigarettes.
Oh, it's crazy. Like I was reading this, it's a fiction book. It's called The Blind Tiger by Sandra Brown in my book club. And it's about prohibition from the 1920s.
Mm.
And it was based out, they were in Texas. And the gist of it was all these bootleggers were creating, they're hiding in the outskirts of Texas with this little town, whatever town it was. And the sheriff's wife was addicted to the whiskey. And this other gentleman found out about it and said, wow, I can't believe that they're selling you. If the guy, the whiskey knew it was for your wife, he wouldn't sell it to you. Because most of the time back then, apparently in the 20s, it wasn't the women who were drinking, it was the men.
Mm-hmm.
And so the gentleman, he takes a perverse pleasure in dealing with her, and the fact that she needs it is the gist of what it said. And it made me think that is what the alcohol industry is doing. They know that it's an addiction. They know that people get so sucked into it, but they find perverse pleasure in it because it's all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
If people can start looking at it from that perspective of what is it really doing for you? Is it really enhancing it? Yes, it does take the edge off a tiny bit. But I love when people say, oh, but it relaxes me. And I'll go, okay, well, yeah, in the beginning, it might be a little bit, but let me ask you, what is the true definition of relaxation? And they'll go, well, you feel or whatever. Like, great. So after you relax, how are you supposed to feel? Well, energized. Okay, so after you've had 5 or 6 or 7 beers, do you feel energized? Are you really relaxed anymore? And they're like, no, I'm not. Right. So I get it. You think you need it to relax, but in reality, if you push it, some people don't. Some people might have one drink and it relaxes them, and that's all they drink. But then there's the other ones like me who they keep having more and more and more because they want to chase buzz. And the biggest thing I want to tell your listeners too, it's like when I went to University of Alabama in the 80s and late 80s, and it usually was, I think we were in the party schools. And I don't think I was drinking 12 beers a day in college.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think. When I was 52, 53 years old, I was like, whoa, I'm drinking more now than I did in college.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, what am I going to be like 10 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens, for those of you who might not be aware, because you didn't drink as heavily as you don't drink as I did, the tolerance changes. So once the tolerance changes, I would literally drink 3 beers in the first 20 minutes just to get that little buzz. Because the first beer, it was 4 minutes. It was like water and I didn't feel anything. So then I'd have another one and I didn't feel anything. So I'd have my third. And then I get that little, ooh, but the crazy thing, think about it now, and I don't miss the buzz. I just don't miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, because yours is completely flip-flopped.
100%.
Yeah. When you're, and you see virtually?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you're potential clients, they're probably, I'm sure, but they're taking that step, which takes a lot of courage just to have, that first call with you. So I don't want to that because that's huge, but they're very reluctant and they're like, this is a bunch of BS, blah, blah, blah. And, the science back it and the facts and things like that. How do you
Oh, I have so many
get the buy-in,
well, I mean, I've got many tactics in my toolbox. If you notebooks, it's crazy, but I have accumulated so much knowledge up here to help others. And I also let them know, the methodology that I used on myself and I use with my clients has a 90% success rate.
Mm-hmm.
So 54% of the people who take this journey completely alcohol and the other 30%, 36% dramatically reduce their alcohol consumption. Maybe they drink on the, or maybe whatever it might be, but
like at a wedding or an event or
whatever, right? So what
yeah.
I tell people is, this is it. This is about becoming sober. It's about becoming free. It's the freedom to choose, and that's what I've been able to do. Is I get to choose now. Do I want it? Do I not want it? Not to say I might not have a drink one day. I mean, I will tell you as a real sidebar. I had gone to Charleston with my boyfriend, and we ordered what we thought was an NA beer, and we didn't realize that we ordered just one and didn't bring the bottle. It was in a glass. He took a sip, and 90 seconds, I said, something's not right.
You felt it that quick.
Felt it. Truly believe my subconscious mind went, it's that chemical. That's that thing that you worked so hard. And it's
Yeah,
not
your body wanted to reject it.
Yeah, it kind of did. And ended up, the maitre d' came. It was one of these really fancy restaurants in Charleston. It was not.
Yeah.
It came up, and they brought us the bottle. And my boyfriend's looking at it like this. Oh, what a pretty bottle. And I said, no, honey, let's turn it around. And then on the back, it said 4.9. And I said, this is alcohol. So make sure, and I will say, I did talk to you about number one. It should have been listed on your menu, that you had it listed with the mocktails, and you should have the ABVs on. You did not. And so within a week, we checked their website. They actually put a non-alcoholic beer on their menu because of my conversation with them. So
yeah, can you imagine somebody who isn't in your mindset, that really they are sober, they don't, and then that happens? I can't even imagine.
Well, in that situation, and this is like a part of what I've learned about AA, it's like, if you drink, you're back one. Well, with what I do, no, it's all data points. It's all we collect data.
Yeah.
We got it that data to me that day was, your body recognized that this had the substance, that had the alcohol in it. I was like, that's cool. My boyfriend, he looked at me though, and he goes, why didn't I notice it? I said, well, honey, you were not a professional drinker. And you did not do all the work I had to do. He drank one beer a week. I'm like, you took 3 months what I drank in a day. So you were nowhere near what I was consuming. So, but with, like I said, my thing with people it's about the freedom to choose, and getting the chains from controlling you. And there's no shame in, if you, let's say I have a client who, she did have a 2-day binge. And when I sat down with her to find out, we dug into deep. Why did it happen? And it was the one thing she could control. And I said, that's great. I get it. But let me ask you, were you in control, or was tequila? She said the tequila. I said, okay. So now how does that make you feel, knowing that when you thought you were the one in control, you actually gave your control away? And she went, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. And that's what I do. I help guide people. I don't tell them what to do. Not at all. I say, what life do you want to live? How do you want your relationship to feel around alcohol? How do you want your life to look? Because when you are chained to a substance, like this, can be the same with weed. It could be the same with cocaine. It could be the same with cigarettes. How do you want it in your life and in your relationship with any of these substances? Gambling. I have a client right now I'm working with on gambling, because we're talking about the emotion around it. Why do you keep doing? Same thing with alcohol. We're using it for a reason, and then it becomes addictive because we get those dopamine hits from it. And I want to teach people how to get true dopamine hits out of life, not a synthetic one that they think they need because they think they need it to have fun, when in reality, I'm having more fun now without it. And I get to be my true, raw, authentic self. And I get to wake up every day without regret, shame, or embarrassment that I might have done something really stupid.
I love that your approach, though, listening to you talk about, your approach is it's a guilt-free zone.
100%.
There's no shame. There's no, if you slip back to square one, let's dive into that, of why you did what we want to address. Not that you're starting from scratch, back to square one again. And that approach seems to me like, if I was seeking you, it just seems so much more manageable and not overwhelming and intimidating, No,
I compassion. Absolutely no judgment and no shame. because number one, I know what it's like to be addicted. I use the same methodology on myself to quit smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do it at the same time though, because I wasn't going to shock body all at once. I was like, I'm going to
Yeah.
get rid of the cigarette. I mean, the cigarettes came second, but I started watching. Why am I right now? Do I really want it? And I started to. I wasn't really craving the cigarette. It was a habit. And so I started
It,
rewiring my brain, and I started
yeah.
noticing, how do I feel after I smoked that first cigarette of the day? And I would be really lightheaded. And
Yeah.
so then I started, just working through all the thoughts I would have. And then I made the note, all right, this is going to be, and I
I
finished.
was the same way. I quit in 2010
Yeah.
and I did, but I had to psych myself out. Like I had to do a lot of research.
Right.
I wanted to learn what it's doing to your body and your cells and your blood. And then I felt like what I loved about it, that the day you quit smoking, your body starts healing itself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was New Year's, it was my New
Yeah.
Year's resolution. I haven't touched it since. I went cold
Yeah.
turkey, but I was ready because I did all this research and I knew in my could that once I understood the science behind it and what it was biologically doing to me.
Right.
So it's funny because you did, it's like you did that too, you did a lot of research to get, in that right headspace.
Oh, 100%. It's beautiful what you just said is power.
It's
Knowledge is
power.
power, because they don't, nowadays, if you say you don't, so of course you don't, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I like to teach clients too. Like, not drinking is becoming the new thing. It's becoming the cigarettes of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Whenever, like we smoked later, started smoking when I was and I quit for a while and I go back, not going back ever again, because it's not, no. But,
Hmm.
it's a lot of people feel like, are people going to make fun of me because I don't drink anymore? Well, that is changing. That whole mindset is changing around. It's slowly, it's happening.
Yeah.
But, you don't have to, do it just because everybody else is doing it.
Right. And
Eh,
I think the hardest thing too is like people, they want that buzz and then no, they have to have it to have fun.
yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
but you really don't. I think people like they need to have it to have fun because they don't know who they are any other way.
Well, and that's going to go back to a lot of beliefs that you have, because there was some time in your life that somebody told you that you are this, that, or another. And so therefore you feel, we carry so much on us
Hmm.
from people who have thrown their goo on us, their
Yeah.
opinions, their beliefs. And, my boyfriend, when we met, he, like I say, doesn't drink very much. He didn't. He doesn't drink at all anymore now. What Rick told me was that, like, he needed alcohol to dance. And guess what? He doesn't need it anymore, because
Right.
I showed him, and through conversations he and I had, I was like, honey, nobody's really watching us when we're out there dancing.
Yeah.
And what do we care if they're making fun of us, because we're having fun, and we go out and we are truly authentic to who we, and we dance. We do silly dancing. All wants to jump, and we're like this. We're jumping up and down. I'm like, okay, let's jump.
Yeah.
We get, so I help people with, the beliefs they might have of other people going to think. I break those down with them, and we start to dive into what could have from your childhood caused you to think
Hmm.
you needed these substances. Sometimes it was, we're escaping from noise in our head, or we were also exposed to it. It's like, it's from the time age 8, the brain is a sponge. And
Yeah.
so and I really wish I would have known all this back when I was raising my kids. They're grown now, but didn't realize that they're, then as they get to 9 to 15, then the part of the brain starts to develop, and they're still seeing me doing this, right? And so they're probably going to go, oh cool, when I become an adult, this is what I do. I get to
Yeah.
get these drinks in me, and I get to do all this, versus my boyfriend, whose parents did not drink. So this, he just never was around it, did finally have it. I think he forced himself to drink because of peer pressure, so to speak. And he
Yeah.
didn't like the
Yeah.
taste of it. I thought it was the rite of passage into adulthood.
Hmm.
And I thought it was the rite of passage into high school, because my sisters, who were two years ahead of me by grade, they would have parties at my house.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
being a teenager.
Right. So what they did.
Yeah.
My dad would go out of town, have people over drinking, just like my siblings did. And
Right.
I was an athlete. I was an athlete. Go to track invitationals. I would jump around the track team. I would go hungover.
Yeah.
Because, and so I look back and I can't change what happened and how I
Right.
was. And did I have a lot of fun? Yeah, but I wasted a lot of money too. I'm going to just tell your listeners, I did this to my 21-year-old. He goes to Penn State. And I said to him, I said, honey, I said to Nevin, I said, think $100,000 is a lot of money. He said, yeah, I do. I said, well, I'm going to tell you, if statistics have proved me right, and I came up with this number, I said, but, probably half the guys you went with by the time they're 50 will spend $100,000 on alcohol. And I said, it's a lot of money, isn't it, Nevin? He's like, yeah. I said, I'm just going to warn you. I spent a lot of money on a substance that it really did not enhance my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have had a lot here and there, but I'm going to go back to something you said a minute ago about cigarettes. The good news is, as I jumped off the alcohol train, my body healed. I did. I had a lot of healing I had to do, and your liver completely regenerates within a year. Your stomach will regenerate. My rosacea went away, brighter, and then all the things started to heal. Like, guys, when I quit in the first month, I had stopped drinking, going on this experiment, I'd feel these tingling sensations going down my brain. And I remember thinking, oh my God, do I have a brain tumor? Like, what's wrong with me?
Oh my gosh.
But it was just the alcohol in the brain getting reinvigorated, because it wasn't having to deal with, like, just because you drank on a Monday, you're not hungover on Tuesday, doesn't mean that the alcohol is not still in your system. It has to work very well to metabolize that and get it out of your body. So what I'll tell your listeners, if anybody's, questioning their relationship with alcohol and they want to back away, and your body can take up to get back to homeostasis. And I do believe I took almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of headaches in the beginning. I was very tired in the beginning.
Like a detox.
Almost like, yeah, there's I can't think of her name. She was on YouTube, and she was a doctor, and she talked post-acute withdrawal symptoms. It's called PAWS, PAWS. And that's where I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense, everything I'm going through. But it's just great, because now it's all gone. It's all out of the system. And I will let your listeners too know, it's like, there is a lot of showing that it is linked to at least 7 different types of cancer. And I had a dear friend of mine pass away almost a year ago from esophageal cancer, and was a heavy wine drinker. And I believe in my heart of hearts, it was a result of years of alcohol in his system and drinking that. So, but you can change it. You can change it if you really become mindful and research and hire coaches who have done what you've done.
I want to ask, because I know in our time, but I just want to ask you to anybody listening to this and your experience, and this is with any healing journey you're on, okay? And I find this is very common. You lose friends, and people are afraid to lose friends and afraid of their social circle, how they're going to react, and going to kind of distance themselves from you. It's going to happen. Explain how you help people navigate. Again, knowledge is power. Like, you need to expect it, but hopefully it happened to everybody. But to, kind of know about this, how do you be a really scary part of it too? Because that becomes a big part of your social life.
Right. 100% will become a part of your life will change. I looked at it as this, Tracy. It was like, there's only going to be one person that's with me my entire life, and that is myself. And God, but physically with me is just this. So one of the things I recognized and is like, some of my friends they're really annoying when they're drinking. And in all honesty, and if they listen to this podcast, if any of my friends listen to this, they're going to wonder, is she talking about me? Is she talking about her? Who's she talking about? I think I was able to tolerate people a lot more because I was drinking, and
birds of a feather, right?
Yeah, and I was a bartender for years, so I knew how they were. So when I'd go out with them, I probably was like, well, I need a couple beers. So now I started to recognize what happens is my values changed of what it is that I want in my life. So if you lose friends along the way, what I say to them is this. We all have people that jump on our train for a while, and some of them leave because of death, and some of them leave because you changed. Maybe you moved to a new city, or changed your life. Because all I know is 25 years, 30 years from now, I don't know how long, I don't know how much more time I have on this earth. Let's say I make it to 100. That means I have 40, well, it's almost my birthday, so I have 20 days till I turn 100. Um, I get to know that I'm making the choices that are best for me. So if I lost some friends along the way, it's okay, because they were there for a reason when I needed them. And
Yeah.
I make new friends, and I get with, and,
It's
that was
on
what,
your
it's
terms.
on my terms, because I things that I had to do. The questions that I ask my clients too is, why do you drink, and what are you afraid of for not drinking? Because that drives us. And what I wrote, it's in a notebook over there, says, one of the things it says, are people going to think I'm crazy because I'm not drinking? What are my friends going to think? And I remember, now that I look back at it, I worried about that.
Or
Now
they'll excluding you. Well, she
yeah,
doesn't want to go out and drink,
or we don't want to be around her, or it might be. I tell my friends, I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care. But the thing is, I want to be around people who want to be around me, whether or not I'm drinking or not. And if
Yeah.
they don't want to be around me because I'm not drinking, that's not on me. It's on them. It's on them, because I'm still the same person. I mean, they used to flock to my bar when I was a bartender. So,
Right.
and I didn't drink when I was behind the bar. I was the girl who was dancing bar, being silly,
Yeah.
that they loved. I'm still that person. I just put a different substance in. That's all I do. So if they don't want to be around me, that's maybe because they're questioning their own relationship with alcohol. They were true, and they knew that it doesn't bother me. I don't care. Then why would they care if I'm with them or not?
Yeah.
Does that make
And
sense?
I promise I can tell you that those people that fall off, it opens up room for these new amazing people to come into your life.
Right.
So let them fall. Let
Right.
them fall off,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, the healing journey.
Because when you start to change values, or you change to a different, like, if all of a sudden I was going to the gym all the time, I'd want to hang out with people who go to the gym.
Yep.
You're not gonna want to have people who are like, come on, let's go get ice cream every hour. Let's go get that fat burger over there. Whatever it might be. If you're trying to be healthy, you're gonna, your circle of influence is extremely important. If friends say as much, yeah, does it hurt a little bit? It does. But then I remind myself, but this is a life that you love. This is a life you're
Yeah.
choosing, and you get to be true and authentic to yourself, and you get to choose. And that just aside, like, I met my boyfriend almost a year ago, on my birthday, which will be the 26th this month, and it's been almost a year, and we have met so much fun, and everything we do without alcohol being influencing our lives. So
Yeah.
it's those beautiful, authentic relationship in my life.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, because we can talk about the same things, and we're not
Mhm.
making decisions. And like, I mean, I've made some poor decisions because of our relationships
We
in the
all
past.
and we all have, and you can't up over it.
No,
And,
no. So that's
you
what
know,
I'm just telling anyone out there who thinks, oh, but I don't know, you need alcohol for all these things. I'm right here to say, no, you do. If you really want to change it, if you want to cut back your drinking, it's not
mhm.
about getting, like I said, it's not about getting sober. It's about getting the freedom to make the choice, and you get to
Yeah.
decide. And you know what? With me, you get to have fun doing it, because it's not
Yeah.
about like, if you work with me, it's not day one, you're not drinking. Oh, hell no. We're going to go about 75 days, and I'm going to teach you, and we're going to
Yeah.
work together to say, let's figure out, you know, when
Yeah.
you, and I have my clients back, and I'm calling them out on their stuff too. Like, I have one of my clients, she's like, well, you drink wine with Gatorade. And I said, why don't you take the Gatorade out of it, and then tell me how you like the wine? And she took it. The next time we had our session, I was like, so she said, Jackie, I did what you said, and I tried wine, and I didn't mix it with Gatorade. I said, how was it? She goes, it was horrible. So why are you drinking it?
Yeah.
Because she got addicted to it. So now we're gonna work through that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not about her dropping it right away. I'm like, go ahead and add your Gatorade back. I don't want you to. I want you to just wean off. I'm not a doctor. I will tell my clients, talk to a doctor if you're gonna feel like you have had into withdrawals or anything like that. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody to have seizures. I
Right.
can't say that word, seizures, but no, I'm so thankful for me to be able to come on here with you and share my story. And the biggest thing I'm hoping is
I
that,
love your approach, Jackie.
oh,
I love
thank
it.
you. I just want people to, this is where I get emotional. I just want people to know that there's hope,
Yeah.
that you're not tied to a substance. You don't have a disease.
Or a label.
It's not because your dad was a drinker, your mom was a drinker, your uncle, or whoever it might be. You just got addicted to a substance. You got it hardwired into your brain that we can change, because you just utilized a substance that they never was addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that, it's crazy, warning labels on it
Yeah.
says
Mm-hmm.
suggestive language, sex, blah blah blah.
Now there's smoking. Smoking's on there now.
Correct.
Yeah.
We know more about Viagra than we do side effects of alcohol.
Right.
The true short term and long. We know short term you get drunk. No, don't drink and drive. But you don't know all the long term the long term side effects of alcohol. Only thing that they say, drink responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask I want listeners to think about that when you're listening to me and you're this crazy woman. Drink responsibly. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Anytime you drink alcohol, how the hell are you going to be responsible? Right?
Right.
So that's their claim. That's their disclaimer. Drink responsibly. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Ready? Listen. Shh. Ready? You can't drink responsibly. It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not.
Tell her in touch with.
So I'm coaching by Jackie.com with an I, just because that's how I decided to do it. Coachingbyjackie.com. And you can find me on Instagram at Jackie Flanagan, my name. And the thing is, just go to my website, read my story, see what I'm about, and just book that free call with me. Spend some time with me for 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Tell me your story.
You have
nothing to lose, because,
from you either, like no judgment-free zone.
No, if you're that person out there that's Googling things like, am I an alcoholic? I was doing that. I was Googling all these different things like, what can I take to help? Or, oh my goodness, I was looking at everything. I can help you, because I'm not going to be judging you at all. I know for those of you that go to your doctor, you lie. You lie to them. You lie to your doctor and you tell them you only drink 1 beer a day when you really drink 7. I know. You don't tell your doctor you drink every day because you're scared. Yeah. And I was that person too, but I have they call it alcohol use disorder now. And they don't use the word alcoholism. They call alcohol use, it's a spectrum. So if you want to know where you are on the spectrum, if you're mild, moderate, or severe, I run you through those questions, because I did them myself. And that's when I went, whoa, I was severe. I'm not going to lie. I was severe, but guess where I am now? Right? And I just want to give people, just because you are in this situation does not mean you have to stay there. And you don't have to label yourself an alcoholic, because you're not. You're just addicted to a substance that was addictive.
Well, this has been so informative. I would totally hire you. I mean, you just approachable and judgment zone, and I think that's awesome. And a lot of people are going to hear your story and be like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic. It's about freedom. It's not about different ways to look the way, what's the word I'm thinking of? Through a different lens, right?
Yeah, right.
Awesome. I want to say thank you so much for becoming part of the Trauma Rockstar family.
Thank you.
I love it.
Me too.
And I hope a lot of people will get in touch with you, and have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
The content on this podcast revolves around personal life experiences and is meant to serve as a learning tool. I'm not a certified therapist or medical expert. This podcast does not offer medical or psychological or professional advice. If you're curious about your mental and physical well-being, feel free to reach out to a licensed healthcare professional for assistance.